Hi everyone, thanks for joining Elrond Network and Crypto.com live video AMA today. Here's me again, Maggie. I'm the head of marketing at Crypto.com, and I'll be hosting for today's live stream. Joining us is the founder and CEO of one of the hottest projects in blockchain, Elrond Network, Beniamin Mincu. He's going to be answering some of the questions that have been submitted by our communities in the past week. If by any chance that your question has been featured in the Q&A session, then you may have won a share of 28,500 ERD prize pool, which is going to be directly distributed to your Crypto.com app account. So welcome, Ben.
Hello, Maggie. Really great to be here. Very much looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today, Ben. Before we start, would you like to give yourself a quick introduction and about yourself and also what our network is to our Crypto.com community?
Sure. So I'm Beniamin Mincu, founder and CEO of Elrond. I've actually been in the blockchain space since 2013, been involved in several projects really deeply. One of the projects has been NEM. I've been also investing in very many projects just to make sure that I get a very deep understanding of how things work. And then since 2017, end of 2017, my focus has been solely on Elrond. And at Elrond, we've essentially built a team with which we can literally build rockets. And then with this team, we've been focusing on building a global, transparent, non-inflationary financial system, and then making sure that we give anyone, anywhere, easy access to it. This has been the goal of Elrond, and we've made huge progress. So I'm very happy to have a discussion about all of this progress today.
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations to the launch of the mainnet. I know that is drawn some noise, which I think is what you've been anticipating. So why don't we start now? And the first couple of questions is really surrounding of what Elrond project is about. If we have to give a very simple definition to anyone who is new to crypto, how are you going to define the Elrond project? And why do you think is a revolution in the blockchain space?
Sure. The idea of Elrond is that I'll discuss in a minute why we've built some of the components we've built, but it all boils down to creating this complementary global economic system that is transparent, that is, like I said, global, and then non-inflationary in nature. And then second, making sure that we give access to anyone, anywhere in the world to this new economic network. And the way we're doing this is by building two very important components that are complemented by a third one. So the first one is Elrond. With the Elrond network, we've built perhaps the most advanced blockchain architecture in the space that can essentially accommodate any kind of transactions of value at the internet scale, which means that it's super fast and it's like a broadband for the blockchain space in terms of performance. And then the second component is this new, very simple application that we're trying to design for the end user to make everything we've built with the network available to end users all over the world in a super simple way. And by combining these two, we're basically putting on top the Elrond Gold token or currency, which is essentially the simplest and most powerful metaphor that we can come up with to make crypto very obvious and intuitive to everyone and anyone in the world. So this is what we're doing. we've been making a lot of progress on it, and I can dive into some of the details immediately.
Sure. I mean, since you touched on Elrond Gold, would you like to elaborate a little bit more of the design of this token in particular, and the rationale behind the swap? And I think to people, to users on Crypto.com app in particular, who have been trading ERD, since we have enabled features such as depositing, withdrawal, and even like earning interest up to 6%, there's a lot of activities on it. What does it mean to someone who has been actively trading ERD on Crypto.com app, and what do they need to expect to happen during the swap, and what do they need to do?
Indeed, we've seen really great support from the crypto.com users, and great excitement within our community when we enabled listing on crypto.com. So this has been a great collaboration. What I think is very important to understand is, first, that users don't have to do anything at this point, and that once the swap is done at the beginning of September, we'll find a solution to either have everything done in their crypto.com wallets so that they don't have to do anything, or if there is some change, we'll communicate it very clearly. But at this point, it's super important to note nothing needs to be done. In fact, if we go a bit deeper on the reasoning and why this change has been done, we've put a lot of thought in designing the Elrond economic model in the same way we've put thought in the underlying network and the Mayar application. And so we've tried to come up with, first, a very simple and powerful metaphor that anyone in the world could understand really fast. Whenever you try to explain Bitcoin or any other currency, you have this super large problem of complexity that you need to explain 10 minutes what it is, how it relates, how it compares to other things. And the whole point is to make things simple from the beginning with Elrond Gold, in a way where we say, for instance, you had books, and then you had ebooks, which are electronic books. You had mail, and then you had email, electronic mail. You had gold, and now you have eGold. This all of an instance makes it clear what we're doing, what we're building, and it also conveys something super powerful to the user, namely that there's a large value here, that it's scarce, and that it is designed to become a very, very powerful store of value. So this is a bit of what we are doing. There are some clarifications on Twitter. There are some blog posts. I encourage everyone to go over them. And we also have some papers that will come out, and some cool visuals to make things simple and allow the community to not only understand things very, very fast, but then share them. Because if they can understand and share them, at that point, we know the information flows a lot freely.
Well, thanks very much for the clarification on that. And I totally agree with you, like how we can provide better simplicity to our users. It's very important as we try to drive more on the adoption in the mainstream world as well. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Recently, you guys have taken some serious steps forward with your roadmap, including the launch of your mainnet, as well as launch quite a number of partnerships around the blockchain industry as well. What are your upcoming objectives and milestones that you're focusing to achieve for Elrond's ecosystem?
The idea is that we've indeed had huge progress during the last couple of months, and especially during the last month. We've had the mainnet launch. The entire team has been putting in an effort that is almost inhuman. The community has done the same. So we've had a very, very good collaboration between our team, community, and people from all over the world. So we're super excited about this. We've especially made sure to clarify that the Elrond network, the network that we've been working for more than 2.5 years on, is finally live. Now we have a blockchain that can process more than 15,000 transactions per second at a cost that it is 1,000 times lower than anything in Ethereum or Bitcoin. This is extremely important to note, just because during the last few days, we've had a lot of discussion with respect to DeFi, how things would change, how you could scale things in Ethereum, especially with demand. So this is one of the key points. Second, we've unveiled Mayar, which is a breakthrough application that complements everything we've done with Elrond. And then the Elrond Gold part, which we're continuing to communicate around. Now, in addition to all this, we had more than 50 collaborations and partnerships that have been announced within the Elrond ecosystem. And we're very grateful and excited about all the progress that is being done on all these fronts. More than this, we have now several milestones that are extremely important in front of us. And I believe the future, while we've done some great things up until this point, the future is even more exciting than what we've done in the past. So the first milestone will, of course, be several updates that are coming out even today regarding Mayar and a next wave group of people that will receive access. Second, people in our community will finally receive access to the Elrond wallet, and they'll be able to start playing with the native Elrond Gold currency. This is super exciting to them, and it will allow them to play in different ways, send it, and then we'll also have some cool things on Telegram, like a Telegram tipping boat that allows people to play around with things. More than this, we intend to first have the swap in September. At the beginning of September, this will be done with Binance. And following this, we'll have a wave of super exciting things that have been prepared, collaborations, exchange listings, and so forth, that are just going to kickstart a very, very high growth period for Elrond. In addition to this, and maybe moving a bit further, we have, like I said, first, it's enabling of all the features in the network. Second, it's exchanges, integrations, and collaborations on this front. Then third, it will be staking, enabling global and general staking within the Elrond network so that anyone can start staking or becoming a validator. And this ideally will be done during the month of September. And during the month of September, again, we'll have several releases of the Mayar version that will go out to anyone, to everyone. And pending these two elements, we'll, of course, have some more really, really exciting things on the DeFi space. But I won't go too much into detail right now, other than saying that our team is super hard at work to prepare some things here where we really contribute a lot of value. So these are some of the things. We have a lot more. I could go on the whole hour just discussing this part,
Sure.
but yeah.
Well, I think one thing is like working in this space never cease to surprise me, because I always consider our team is super hardworking and our milestones are like impossible to achieve. But every time I talk to another project, they always seem to have like an even more aggressive timeline than us, and it just amazes me.
Thank you.
Moving to the next question. Um, that doesn't represent my opinion, by the way. Some people think that Elrond is considered as the underdog. How do you feel about that? Do you think that you're competing with companies that are much bigger in scale and much better connected, and is considered as like a disadvantage to you, or not really?
The idea with Elrond is that by now, I think we're sort of recognized in the space as being a fairly small team, which is super resourceful and essentially unstoppable. Whenever we set our mind on something, we'll find a way to do it. And we can usually do this maybe 5 or 10 times faster than any other team in the space. So the fact that we're an underdog, we really like. It means that we can navigate things a lot faster. We can be a lot more agile, and it also speaks to the way that we're approaching things. But when you look at the results, I think the results speak for themselves. And I would add, I always add this, that we're still super early. Elrond is not even 1% of what it will become. So this is why we're pushing hard to make all these grand visions a reality, and set a new quality standard for the whole blockchain space.
I totally agree. And in fact, I think the overall space is still at a very nascent state, right? Given how do you plan to, especially with the launch of eGLD, how do you plan to really uncover the potential of the new token on a grander scheme compared to where you guys are at right now?
I believe that every moment, whether in business, history, or life, is unique. And the most important thing is to understand what's at stake at that particular moment, what can be done that's really new, that can really add value in a way that has never been done before. And I think this is where Elrond stands out, because we really care about users, and put all our soul into building something that will be used, will be loved by users, and will be useful in a way that goes not only on the immediate, to touch the immediate utility, like making some transfers, which we already see applications doing, but rather building a new financial system that could improve people's lives in a way that cannot be done with anything else. So I'd say that what we will continue to do, what we've done up until this point and will continue to do, is show how much we care for the users, push super hard on shipping and delivering software and applications, products that solve problems, different key problems in people's lives, and do it with passion and love, so that when people discover the applications or interact with us, with our community, they always see something different. They see that it's not only about the immediate transaction or profit, but it's much more about improving things. And I believe that if we understand what the user really wants and can give him the application that will solve things for him in a way that he's not received before, he will be with Elrond forever. So this is what we're trying to do.
And I consider you guys as one of the projects that talk really long-term vision in a way that you can attract a lot of um, like discussions and tractions, especially on social media, which is fascinating because, as you said, a lot of people might more be attracted by short-term gains or use cases, but to build something long term and to have a vision for a longer term, it's harder to communicate naturally. So, what is your secret of your team behind the scene that can stir up so much on social media that you can share with us?
I will say that our team is super passionate, super hardcore, and like I said before, everyone is pouring their life into this. It's not like people come to work at Elrond. Elrond is the one thing that they do, and that everyone in the team will look back on and say, this is the great thing we've all been working on. So I think this is what everything starts with. But then I do also believe that it's extremely important first to make sure that things are feasible and viable in the short term. So we've seen a tremendous growth in Elrond, not only in terms of vision, but also in terms of profits. I don't usually discuss too much this side because people can hardly make a productive conversation when it comes to profits. But I do think that profits are healthy, and it's really great if you can play a non-zero sum game. So a game in which people win in on all fronts, and it's not necessary so that some people lose in order for some to win. So where Elrond is all about creating a non-zero sum game for the entire world. This is the one thing, and then the second thing, we always like to put a lot of thought inside the team and then discuss things also outside the team about the longer term aspects and implications, which I believe are very, very little covered when you look at the other projects. And if people understand the long term implications, I do think that they're a lot more open and a lot more willing to engage, contribute, and so forth. Because at the end of the day, what we want to clarify is that a world in which Elrond has adoption is the world in which our entire world improves for the better significantly. So at the end of the day, if you can do that or show that, this is what everyone wants. So yeah.
Definitely can feel you guys' passion, even through the screen here.
Thank you. Thank you.
What the next question is like, what are your top personal values, and how have you incorporated these personal values into the Aaron project?
Yeah, I think we have a very unique culture at Elrond, and we're trying to always nurture this culture. This starts with the people that come and form the Elrond team. Every one of the guys that we have is super smart, super resourceful, but then also super willing to adapt and continue to learn. This is the one thing that has made Elrond special. There are many teams that start with great people, brilliant people, but if they cannot adapt as fast as needed, that's where everyone falls short. So if I were to sum up, there are of course many things, but if I were to boil them down to a few things, we're always trying to think whenever possible from first principles to understand what's the most fundamental thing that we could do to improve things, whether it's in blockchain, in life, in startups, in business. And I think if you can reason from first principles, you'll always reach a much more robust conclusion. And then from that point, you can derive everything else as a natural consequence, sort of. I think how this applies is that most people just look at what everyone else does, and then they just copy that and or change a bit of the things that they try to copy and they move forward. Instead, at Elrond, we're doing this hard exercise where when it becomes clear what we're building, how we are building it, and how this will change the space and hopefully our environment, people will get super excited. But this excitement is only an effect of the thought we've put in, the energy we've put in. Second, I would say it's super hardcore effort. We've had this principle from the beginning. You either go super hard or go home. You cannot build technologies that you hope to influence society with on a part-time basis. It's extremely difficult. It's extremely challenging. Everything will come as an obstacle in your way. But if you can put everything you have in it and have a team of people that are, again, smart, resourceful, and so forth, that all of them put the same, the result is incredible. And this is what we've experienced at Elrond, and we'll continue to push for this kind of principle. And then the third thing I would say is, oddly enough, I always believe that the problems we have are due to inherent entropy. So whether you have problems in personal life, in the startup or business, or in organizations, most of the problems are not due to what immediately seems obvious, but rather due to entropy. So if you have a team of, let's say, 3 people, and then you grow the team to 20 people, it will be super difficult to maintain the speed and the efficiency and so forth, just because of overhead in communication and different changes that you need to do. So what we are trying to do then is not fight other projects or fight other people, but rather fight entropy at all the different levels, because I believe that humans at their very best are entropy reversal agents. If we can do this, we'll basically improve not only the towns we live in, the startups we try to build, but then everything around us. So
wow, fascinating. And I think what you have just shared resonate to a lot of people who are in the space. Implementing change is possibly the hardest task that we have put on our shoulder. And well, I think at the same time, it's just very rewarding, right? So the hard work doesn't really matter as much, right?
yeah.
Why don't we move on to talk a little bit about Maya, the app that you guys have just launched.
Yes.
On the site, you say Maya is for everyone and for anywhere. And then you have already shared your timeline on opening up the access. The question is, will the Maya project also focus on the enterprise side of usage? If so, going from non-bank people to enterprise adoption is quite a leap. How will you consider tackling that?
I believe that Mayar will have such a large consequence on the space that it's hard to overstate right now. And what I'm referring to is, we're currently ranging to something like 50 million people that are in and out of the blockchain space. But I believe that during the next 3 to 5 years, we'll see a growth that has been that is unparalleled to any other technology, potentially reaching 1 billion people that will come to the blockchain space, and then even exceeding the 1 billion people number. So I believe that Mayar will be the key catalyst to bring all these people, just because it will make things so simple that it will be incredible. After you see it, you'll wonder why this has not been done before, because it's so simple, intuitive, and sort of obvious. So with this said, we want to touch not only end users, but will enable integration with enterprises in a way where they can become part of Mayar as a kind of dApp store that will become available, or by sharing different services that we will be able to integrate in Mayar. Mayar can be best seen as this most simple interface for a global financial ecosystem. Will have not only like storing of crypto or money, but then you'll have lending, you'll have savings, you'll have staking. But the critical part is that you'll have all of this in a way that you can easily interact with them, even if you're not an expert in crypto or have never interacted with crypto. So by having the users in will obviously generate a lot of demand from enterprises or startups or companies, and then will enable them to integrate by offering super valuable services that we can offer to our users. At the end of the day, we only want to create the best application possible and experience for our users. If we find other companies that want to do the same and can contribute, we'd love to collaborate and partner with them.
Great. The next question is also a question that I'm personally very interested in. Why you guys think that using a phone number would be an appropriate replacement for private keys on Maya?
So to clarify, the idea here is that phone number is not a replacement, but rather what we want to do is make sure that we, from the start, build the experience of the user around something that he already understands. If you start a WhatsApp application, it's extremely easy. You just type in your phone number and start chatting with your friends. We want the experience to be seamless. You just start the Mayar application, you put in your phone number, and then next thing you know, you already can share crypto with your friends, contacts, and so forth. But this will go far beyond that. The private keys still exist, but they're abstracted away in the backend through a very, very interesting mechanism called progressive security, where at first, when you don't have money, you don't really need any security. This is again one of the things that once you hear them, they're super obvious. You start wondering, why do the wallets in the crypto space require you bunker-like security when you don't have anything? You just want to explore the application, and you go through all of this pain even before seeing how the first screen in the application looks like. So we wanted to do the precise opposite, where we build around something that the user understands, but then prevent or preserve privacy. So we cannot store your phone number. We don't know the phone number. And then there's also an idea where this is not susceptible to the SIM swap attack, because again, it does not, there's a clear countermeasure to that. And then moving forward, there are several user experience points. Then again, simplify things like the username, where you have the public key built in behind this username. So all you need from your friend is either to have him in your contacts, or you need a username for him, which we call a hero tag. So you'll just ask, just like you ask right now and tell someone, please Google this. In a few years, you'll ask, what's your hero tag? And everyone will know what a hero tag is.
Well, it's really refreshing to rethink the purpose of public and private keys and the design of it. The following question is from an ERD delegator. So once Mayar is out there for everybody to use, as a delegator, will they be able to redelegate their rewards automatically on a daily basis?
This is Great question. I believe we've had a lot of discussions around a variation of this question. What we'll do with Mayar is essentially create the simplest interface, but when working with the validators, we will integrate some of the validators as options. And within the delegation service that you'll receive from different validators, you'll definitely have this option of redelegating the rewards, and we'll make sure that we go through a process with validators where we help them see the benefits of this, help them see how they can offer this to the users. But this will not be a feature that we can offer into Mayar, but rather we'll make sure that validators that we promote in Mayar will be able to offer this to the user. So again, things become super simple and the user can benefit.
Okay. Last question on Maya. How is the Maya browser app related to the Maya dApp that is now in testing phase? Are they the same application, only that the Maya browser doesn't yet have the dApp functionality activated for most users?
No, they're not the same application. When we've announced Mayar, a lot of people started Googling Mayar. They discovered that we actually built a browser. We've specifically announced that the browser is a kind of toy project that we're testing things with and exploring things with. But for now, the Mayar browser is just that. All the focus is at this point to make sure that the first version of the wallet is out. It works for everyone. It's super simple. And then, of course, we'll have some surprises down the road. But about this, we'll probably discuss as soon as we have the first version of the Mayar app out.
Okay, great. Enough questions on Maya. Let's move on to talk about what everyone is talking about lately, which is DeFi. Everyone is sort of like phrasing DeFi as the third wave of blockchain and crypto adoption. What are your views on the driving force behind that is accelerating the development on DeFi at the moment, and anything else in particular you would like to add on to share with our communities?
I believe there are two strong forces that always drive things. First, there's this clear force of profits that has driven Bitcoin in its first phase, then Ethereum with the ICOs and everything that came on Ethereum. Now it's driving DeFi. And for as long as people will be able to build things and then make money, this is how progress moves forward. Some people build stuff, they offer it to the users, then a lot of users use it in different ways, some in ways that were not necessarily immediately intended, but they can build stuff. And this is one of the clear paths that the crypto market is moving towards right now. The second point is there's indeed a clear vision of how decentralized finance could become this complementary alternative to the current global economy. And I believe that it is specifically in this aspect that Elrond is uniquely and extremely well positioned, because it not only reframes the game for the protocols because of the super high scalability that we have, and because of the very, very low cost in transactions that we have. But then moving forward, we have something that has not been explored yet in the blockchain space, namely 30% royalties for any smart contract developer that develops things on Elrond. So if they would develop something like a Uniswap on Elrond, it's not only that they win on the exchange side, but they also win with any and every transaction that is done through the smart contracts built on Elrond, and they receive 30% of every transaction, which is extremely powerful. Once this is set in motion and they see a few examples, we believe this will be a very strong growth engine. Moving even further, I believe that not only the protocol side will be important, but if you think about DeFi globally, user experience will become the most important deciding factor. Because at the end of the day, there are only so many people that can understand what Bitcoin is and can relate to private keys. If you can abstract away anything, everything on that front, and give the people eGold, this is something they can easily understand, they can easily relate to, but then you'll discover that there's an entire ecosystem there that you can lend, stake, again, send to anyone in the world. And yeah, there's something extremely powerful to the decentralized finance, especially if you understand that at some point the decentralized part will become invisible. Just like with the internet, people will not care that the protocol through which they send the email is somehow distributed, but rather what they care is, can I send this almost instantly at no cost, and it goes anywhere in the world? Okay, that's cool. This is what I would use right now. I don't really care too much about the technology, is what the people will tell you. But again, we believe this will be a very, very fast and high growth stage for the crypto space. And we're happy that Elrond is at the cutting edge.
I think you touch on a very interesting point, is the tech, like what we focusing so much on is the technology of DeFi, where on the other end of the spectrum is what as an end user can benefit from DeFi. And it feels like the communications and the focus within the crypto community and industry still remains very much like what we experienced back then, right? Like we communicate in a way that only people who are tech savvy enough or very in it can understand. So in under that the setup, right? That is what how currently it is right now. How do you think DeFi, or at which point it will really turn to disrupt the mainstream or existing financial system?
Like I said before, I believe that we will reach 1 billion people that will come to the blockchain space, especially via DeFi, in the next 3 to 5 years. This is a tremendous growth compared to what we have right now. And I believe that there's no other project like Elrond, which is extremely well positioned not to do things in 2 years, but in the next month and in the month after that, and then see a growth curve that is only limited by the pace with which we will be able to onboard users. This is the one thing that I believe will be most fundamental and will drive a lot more progress, because when people see a good example, I'm sure the other projects will not sit around and wait for Elrond to move forward, but we encourage this. As long as the world wins and there's a clear advance toward the system that is, again, global, transparent, and non-inflationary, and that everyone in the world starts getting access to it, this is the most powerful thing we could achieve. And if there's any other project that is moving in the same direction, we'll always try to encourage this.
Great. Let's move back to some of the more technical questions surrounding Elrond network before we close off for this AMA. To the communities, when can they start programming smart contract on Elrond network?
So smart contract can already be programmed. In fact, we have several teams that are doing this as we speak. and we're super excited with what they're doing. One of the protocols, as the community may know, is the Orion protocol. They're actually building a really cool DeFi tool that will provide liquidity within the blockchain space, but they're building it on Elrond. They're building it on Elrond specifically because we already have the tools. The tools are really flexible, and it's performant and inexpensive. What I would add is people can already use some integrations that we have, like a development environment and a debugger that we've put out. They can develop the smart contracts in a framework that we've designed in Rust. So this is pretty cool. We have a Python CLI and an SDK, and then there's a lot of documentation, tutorials, but even more than that, a lot of passionate community guys, developers, and the team, which can always help. So feel free to, if there's anyone that wants to build on Elrond, ping us, and we'll be super happy to give you all the details and start helping you out.
Great. And as a developer, can you quickly summarize the benefits on building with our network and how easy it is for Ethereum developers to switch to Elrond?
I believe, again, there's this 30% royalty incentive that is stronger than perhaps anything else. Developers find tools in many ecosystems, but we've put a lot of thought in building this out. Once it's tested and deployed, a lot of people will come in. But the first projects that will start building out will win a lot in Elrond because the community is super hungry. We are super willing to help. So this is the one thing I would start with. Second, it's very cheap to deploy smart contracts, to test them out really fast. Anyone that wants help will receive direct help from us or anyone in the community. So there's a very direct feedback loop that moves fast. We already have the BUSD contract that has been built on the Elrond network. There's a very high throughput. So the performance limitations that exist in Ethereum do not exist in Elrond. Cheap transactions and a lot of DeFi projects that we have integration with, which are 6 or 7 right now, plus some Oracle integrations that we have with Band Protocol, with Chainlink, and some more cool things that will kickstart the DeFi party really soon. So yeah, we very much welcome developers to start building and playing with the Elrond tools.
Cool. Indeed, scalability, security, and low transaction fees are what you guys advocate on the Elrond network. And at the moment, transaction costs are advertised as $0.001. Is there any potential growth in transactions fees, especially after everything goes live, or is there intention to keep this cost fixed?
No, so the idea is that we've thought how things would play out in different scenarios. And there are some hypothetical scenarios where Elrond grows 100x in value from the point where it is right now. At that point, it will not be, I'm not sure, 250 or 270 millions, but rather 27 billions. This is a really nice problem to have. First of all, but we've already designed a way through which we can always update the fees so they don't grow with the proportional to the growth of the entire network. So whenever we grow 100x, we'll have a community call and we'll have a voting where we essentially put the fees back lower, and then again we have a 100x growth space, and we can move toward that space. But there's there's a high growth period in front of us. We have the solution to maintain the fees really low and attractive. And on the other hand, I very much look forward to having this problem.
I'm sure you do. And like lately, you guys have been launching a lot of partnerships with other crypto projects. Let's take Orion partnership to elaborate a little more the rationale behind this partnership and what you're expecting to get out of this.
Sure. So Orion is essentially a kind of decentralized exchange that seeks to aggregate liquidity in the entire blockchain space in a way which is decentralized. Second, the really important key is that Orion has chosen Elrond because they've seen the architecture, they've seen how things work, and have decided that Elrond is the one architecture that can really help them launch a project on a sustainable foundation. Third, what we're going to get out of it is first an Ethereum bridge so that projects can migrate their tokens, and there will be an Ethereum interoperability between Elrond tokens and Ethereum tokens. There will be an integration with MetaMask that is already in the works, and a lot of code, open source code, that will be able to be used by different other projects that want to build something similar in the DeFi space.
And I probably can foresee a lot more similar type of partnerships moving forward with Elrond as well, right?
Indeed, there are several other projects that are already building. Some of them are still in stealth mode, and I think the next few months we'll see a lot of projects just revealing what they have been thinking about, starting to test things out really fast, and especially once they see a few key DeFi tools starting to roll out and do really well on Elrond, the growth and demand is already there. It just needs a Kindle, and then it will move really fast.
Can't wait to see, the moment that the capacity of our network be really fully utilized by all these amazing projects in space. Before we close off, sorry.
No, I don't think it will be reached really fast, because while we have begun with 15,000 transactions per second, the great thing about Elrond is its adaptivity, which means that we can easily add more shards to exceed 50,000 transactions per second, to exceed 100,000 transactions per second. In fact, we've exceeded in a test 260,000 transactions per second just before launching the mainnet. So while I do think that we're going to have a lot of adoption, you just by comparison, if you look at Visa, which is processing somewhere between 5,000 per second to maybe 10,000, this gives you a very, very good overview of why we wanted to start above them. And also a very good overview of how much potential for growth there is. So I can't wait to see this kind of boundaries being surpassed, so that we need to improve further.
Yeah, so let me rephrase that. I cannot wait to see that you guys can showcase how your network is built for scalability, right?
Yeah, can't wait as well.
So why don't we close up with a more casual question from our community? And it's actually a question from our community member. What do you do when you're not in the offices working on Elrond? Which I highly doubt that there will be a lot of time on
that. We were discussing with the team that the last few weeks, days, and months have been extremely hectic. But one of the things that I want to do and try to strive to do is read a lot. There are a lot of super good books that I always learn a lot from. And if I were to say that there's one thing that has changed my life over the years, it's been books all the way. So yeah, I can't get enough time right now, but sometimes when I leave the office even late in the night, yeah, almost at midnight, I take my car and drive and listen maybe to an audiobook and stuff like that, just to think about some more interesting stuff that we can build and implement.
You just inspire me, to form a book club of, among crypto project leaders, because I agree. I think like we, no matter how busy we are, we need to stay stimulated, right? So
For sure, for sure.
well, we're just around 1 hour, spot on timing. Thanks so much, Benjamin, for your insights and your time today. I personally really enjoy your sharing. And also, huge thanks to our community who have submitted all these amazing questions and joining us for the live AMA today. Before we final close off, Benjamin, is there anything else that you would like to share with the crypto.com community?
Sure. Thanks a lot for the great discussion. Super happy to be here. Thanks to the community. I'd say the mainnet, the Elrond mainnet is live. This is a very, very important event for the blockchain space. And I encourage everyone to start playing around with it. The wallet will go out tonight. Please take a look at Mayar. This is the application that will change the space. And I encourage you to get a seat on the waiting list. There's a lot of people still waiting to get access to it. And yeah, there are many things that we have prepared. We take it one step at a time, try to communicate as much as we can. And yeah, thanks a lot for being part of the journey.
Great. And once again, to any of you where your question has just been featured earlier on, that means you have won a share of prize pool of ELD. And then we're going to directly distribute the prize into your crypto.com app account within around 2 weeks. In the meanwhile, please make sure to follow our network on Twitter, and also us to stay informed about upcoming events and updates available through our official Twitter and Telegram channels. Once again, thanks everyone for joining us, and until next time.
Thank you guys.